Today is Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday commemorating the emancipation of the last enslaved African Americans in the U.S. It's a day of celebration as well as a symbol of freedom. Well, joining us now with more on its importance is Latysa Flowers Jackson. She's the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging at the YMCA of San Diego County. First of all, Latysa, thank you so much for joining us here on The Four. We appreciate it.
And thank you so much for having me today.
I feel like we're still educating our country on the significance of Juneteenth, and I'm so glad that you're here to sort of fill in the gaps and the significance of what Juneteenth is for people who are not familiar with this holiday. Tell us more about it.
So fortunately for me, I have a love of learning. And so Juneteenth is significant in that it was the date in Galveston, Texas, where the news or the Union troops went in to really reinforce or enforce what Lincoln had done with the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. So it was the last date for those that were enslaved to really get the news that they were free. And so that's the importance and significance, that it's inclusive, that everybody could participate and now have the opportunity for freedom within these United States.
You know, I think it's so interesting that we are learning about this collectively as a country and finally honoring the date with this federal holiday just instilled a few years ago. What do you think took so long for us to be really educated on the history of this country? And you must be so proud that this is finally happening.
So fortunately and unfortunately, there are people who have the privilege and the choice of either accepting or really denying or setting aside information. And so I think for a long time, this information was very present in the African American community, but it wasn't just something that was nationwide. So even in the event that in 1865, you know, the Union soldiers enforced the freedom of the enslaved folks in Texas, it had been going on since 1863. At the Capitol. But there were states who also had seceded from the Union. So there was just some people who were holding out to really not want to really participate in the abolishment of slavery. And some of those mentalities still exist. There are people who are beholden to, you know, historical things that offered opportunities for some and not for others. And Juneteenth is a celebration of unity, access, and equality, and so that's why it's a celebratory event.
Tell us a little bit about the YMCA of San Diego County, and how does this play into the work that you do at the Y?
So the YMCA of San Diego County, we have some areas that we focus on, which are social responsibility, youth development, and healthy living for all people. And so when we think about the work that I do in DEIB around equity, inclusive, you know, actions, inclusive leadership, and diversity, those are efforts and initiatives that the Y supports. So we have youth housing programs. We have the efforts that were activated in the Southeast flood situation that happened. We also have, you know, preschool initiatives around equitable preschool inclusion. So, you know, reducing the incidence of suspension and expulsion for Black and brown boys in preschool. I mean, there are so many other initiatives around disability, like our Teens in Motions programs, Adaptive Swim for families that have children with autism. So there's so many initiatives that really promote inclusion and a sense of belonging for our community at large at the YMCA.
And thank you so much for keeping up the great work at the Y. For people who might have heard you talk about one of the programs and they're interested, is there a website that they can go to find out some more information?
Absolutely. They can just go to ymcasd.org, and there's so many programs. Don't get lost, but, you know, fish around and, you know, find out all the amazing things that are happening. And we're gearing up for camp right now. So if your kiddo is not in camp, there might still be room.
All right, Latysa Flowers Jackson from the San Diego County YMCA. We appreciate your expertise and your time with us here on The Four. Thank you.